Okay, it's day 2 here at MRO Europe at the Excel Centre in London. It's early days, we've just got here, and the show is filling up around us. I'm speaking to Chris Fagg, who is from IMT Aviation, based in the Stansted area.
Good morning.
Morning, Chris. Just start off by telling us what IMT does.
Okay, so IMT Aviation was developed about 20 years ago. The concept at the time was new composite repairs such as radomes. Over the years it grew because as composites became more common in aviation, it moved into control surfaces, inlets, thrust reversers, and basically any interior composites as well.
Okay.
The company's grown. We now have facilities in Prestwick, Scotland. We have one in Malpensa, which was to help operators using our facilities in UK. If they got an AOG because of a bird strike or weather damage, they could remove a part in Europe and keep within the EU. This has been very successful. We've got 89,000 square feet of factory space there.
The Malpensa, that's relatively new.
Malpensa, yes.
How old is that?
It's about 2.5 years old now.
Okay.
Obviously, IMT, Saffron Walden, we look after 2 of the biggest airlines in Europe, and we also deal with some of the, like what they call drop-ins. We have an on-wing team which can deploy anywhere in Europe. We also look after some of the private aircraft. They're more interesting sometimes because they come in from the States, they land, and an engineer will say you can't take off because you've got a big dent in the leading edge. And then because we're local, we're called and we go and investigate. If we can help, we do, and generally we do. But that saves somebody coming out, say, from Savannah to look at a Gulfstream and Embraer. So, yeah, we're quite versatile.
So does it tend to be a lot of unscheduled, really? Is it all the unscheduled incidents that happen that you can't really predict, that just obviously happen all the time in aviation? Most
of it is pretty much that. It's what they pick up on a daily inspection or a pre-flight inspection. It's pretty much not scheduled. Nearly everything you see is not a scheduled removal. You're
very reactive, but that's by nature. This is how that's what you're there for, really. You're there to solve problems very quickly.
Yes, we're the, what do they say, the 5th emergency service. We also look at things like doors as well. Doors can cause lots of problems for airlines. Just basically the nature of the thing that the aircraft pumps up and decreases pressure all the time. We started a specialist door shop, and we cater for Boeing and Airbus on that. But obviously, as we were discussing earlier, the biggest problem that everyone faces is the actual supply of replacement parts.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So for us, we looked at lots of ways of, well, if you can't replace, you've got to repair. So we incorporated a Part 21 company into our group, and that gave us flexibility to look at other possibilities with the airlines that we work for. So we came up with 2 really outstanding repairs. One was for the inlets on the CFM56, the acoustic panels. The fasteners were disappearing into the aircraft over time. We developed a repair scheme where we can replace those. And that's been very successful. It's been taken up by a lot of the airlines. And then a second one, for an example, is the thrust reversers on CFM56 on Airbus. They suffer from corrosion on the frame where the actuators deploy the pivot doors, and this would write that reverser off. So what could we do? So we looked at this, and it was possible to bore out the actual bushings where the actuators sit and replace with oversized bushings and get that thing back into service. Now some of those things are like $500,000, so you can salvage lots of things, but it's not good if it's only sort of part way through its life. So
excuse me. So when you talk about composites, when you say composites, you're talking all really carbon fibre.
We're carbon fibre,
or is it?
We sheet metal as well.
Okay.
I mean, you find mainly on Boeing 737-800, there is composite, but there's also a lot of metalwork still.
Right.
And, that's, as we've moved forward with the 787, obviously 787 is a lot more composite, and we've moved with that as well.
Yeah.
And we'd like to think that we're on the pulse with actually keeping up with what's coming out.
So it's this kind of innovation that we're talking about, where you're repairing rather than replacing.
Yes.
That the industry really is desperate for, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Because of we know what's going on with supply chain.
Absolutely. And, there's been lots of reasons as to why supply chain suffered. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not a fan of Donald Trump, but I think that caused quite a few problems in his first term.
Yeah.
And he's going for it again in this term. So companies that were making parts for Boeing in Europe haven't got the contract anymore, and while a company in America is trying to work this out and get the thing up and running, it takes years.
Yeah.
Aviation doesn't have years.
No.
Certainly doesn't have 200-day lead times.
That's it. As you were saying before we started this, you get these massive lead times of an aircraft that has gone AOG through an incident and then can't get back in the air and there's a lot of money sitting there waiting to be for you guys to come in and to get it back in service again.
And if you quote a job and you say, well, on today's prices it's going to cost, say, $100,000 to do this job, and the customer says, yeah, I'm going to go for that because I don't want to spend $500,000 buying another one.
Yeah.
And generally they're not available anyway. I mean, sometimes they rob the production line, but that happens only in severe cases. So for us, we quote the job, we start the job, and then we find that one of the components has actually got a 120-day lead time, and there's absolutely nothing you can do.
Yeah.
So sometimes you can look at robberies or whatever, but generally, if you're stuck with that, you've invested your $100,000 into that job, and now you're going to have to wait, nearly another year to get your money back, and sometimes worse.
Yeah.
So it's bad for the people repairing the stuff, just as much as it's bad for the operator.
And obviously, everything you do has to sit within regulatory requirements.
Absolutely.
There's no getting around that.
Nope.
Obviously, and we don't want anyone to get around that. Obviously, that'd be crazy for an industry that relies on safety so much. Is there a flexibility in the regulatory approach to say we want to inspire people to innovate in this area because it's so necessary to keep the industry going?
Yes, there's the Part 21 system, for instance, and that is where you can look at things. It's obviously a design company that's authorised, but you can only do this if the customer agrees with you. It says if the customer sees what you're trying to do and it works. I mean, on things that aren't flight critical, it's not so much of an issue. But if it's flight critical, then everybody sits down together and sort of says, right, okay, this is what we think we can do. This is how it would work. Do you want to sign up to it or not? And as I say, with the CFM 56 reversers and the inlets, they've been very keen to take it up.
Yeah. And is there a trend in terms of the incidents that cause these problems? You mentioned sort of weather's changing all the time.
Yes.
So are we seeing? Is there more, for instance, more hail incidents?
I would say yes.
Yeah. You do see that.
Yeah, you do. There's a lot more hailstone damage. We heard about a customer, not one of ours, bought a brand new G5, flew it back to Europe. It flew through a thunderstorm, completely peppered by hailstones.
Right.
There was a pilot issue there. I think the weather radar had failed, and he had to land, and they took the aircraft to Gulfstream. Gulfstream said it's got to go back to Savannah. It went back to Savannah and was written off.
Okay.
So
Wow.
on his first flight, it was a bit of a Titanic.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've got to be agile in this area because things are changing, and the industry you are reactive to what goes on out there, and obviously the situations never all.
Well, we always like a challenge, and if somebody comes to us with something we haven't seen before, we generally say, well, if you can send us some pictures or whatever, we'll take a look. If we can dispatch someone the same day, which generally we can, we'll get someone to come and have a look.
Yeah.
And, it's in a severe case, we can normally tell before the person's gone that, there's no way this one's going to be able to fly. It's going to need coming off.
Yeah.
This is where having that facility in Europe works, because we can sometimes do an exchange. So the aircraft's on the ground for the least time possible. And obviously other companies such as Avtrade and AJ's, they offer services as well. We work with them. we try and repair their units as fast as we can to get them back into the program as well.
Yeah, okay. We were talking before we started about some amazing technology that's being developed around measurement and,
Yes.
and how you can detect the slightest issue on surfaces now.
Yes.
Is that changing the game as well? Is that kind of innovation making this an easier, more efficient process?
Well, yes, and it's kind of coupled with NDT as well.
Right.
We have to NDT. Certain components are NDT scheduled, others aren't. But if you've had an incident or of anything, it will be NDT'd in accordance with the manual. And then, of course, the measurements, the dent and buckle, they call it, that gets carried out as well.
Yeah.
And the application of laser technology to that is something that we're starting to get very into.
Yeah.
And we're very interested in anyone that can come up with something that's not the old school, but could actually change how it's been done previously.
Yeah.
If it saves man hours
Yeah.
and it's more accurate, then it's got to be the right way to go.
We do a fair lot in the predictive maintenance side of things because we run the predictive aircraft maintenance conference, and you can see there that what's happening there is that you need to know everything about every part. What's life cycle management of that individual
Absolutely.
part. So knowing when something might go and then getting in before it does, I guess, is very interesting to someone like you guys.
Yes.
Because you're there to. You can, if you get there earlier, it's easy to repair before it actually.
Yes, and I mean, over the years things have changed where things were maintained on calendar or on hour.
Yeah.
That's still the case with all the traditional components, but a lot of operators have realised that actually it doesn't matter what it is. If you can, because composites is such a new thing.
Yeah.
If you think that we've had over 100 years of Irish linen, wood and dope, composites we don't really know everything about yet.
Okay. Yeah.
So, to actually have kind of the same technology looking at everything that's gone over the last 100 years, a tape measure, for instance, or a depth gauge, it makes sense that now in the 21st century that we should be more digital and more AI, and to predict, things like how many lightning strikes in an aircraft's life. Say the aircraft's life 69,000 hours. How many times will it be struck by lightning, and what are the key areas? Well, you know that the fin is going to be one because it's standing up proud, and the winglets are also standing up proud. So it is possible to start drawing a picture of the likelihood, and that can be when, say, a C check comes up or a daily inspection. Oh, we've reached this many hours. Better take a real close look just to make sure that we haven't had an incident.
Yeah. So you're kept very busy with things like that on the outside of the aircraft, but you're also doing stuff in the cabin as well. Explain what you do there.
Well, in cabins we do VIP interiors. We can do a complete aircraft. Anything from, say, a Learjet all the way up to a 777 if necessary. We can lay carpets, lay galley floors.
Yeah.
One of our key customers flies the World Cup on its tour every time there's a World Cup. IMT designed the interior and installed the interior, and that was quite an achievement.
What sort of aircraft was that? That was
the aircraft that did that, I think, was the 757.
Okay.
It won't be the 757 next time, I believe.
Okay. So the inside is configured. Are you telling me like a football pitch?
Yes. They remove like the seats over the central wing box, and then that has like the centre line, if you like, the kick-off point, and there's two goals and so on. And the World Cup sits in the middle of that.
Okay. Fine. The other big issue that if you hear this week, you'll hear a lot about is the supply chain is on one side, but it's actually the people and the skills and the human resources in the industry.
Yes.
And not an issue that's going to suddenly solve itself.
No.
You're based in the UK and now in Milan as well. How do you find the challenge of getting the right people in your business?
We work with Stansted College, and we have an apprentice scheme.
Yeah.
And so we are training students over a 3-year period in either interiors, composites or sheet metal, and in some cases they do all of it. And we've been doing this now for, say, best part of 10 years, and we've come to the end of that. Some of the guys have stayed with us which is good because that's what we want.
Yep.
And other guys have thought, okay, I've got this skill now, I want to see the world. So we've got one guy went off to Australia, and he's loving it.
But in aviation,
oh yes,
hopefully, yes.
Oh yes.
So you're supplying, even if you're not bringing them in yourself and keeping them in your business, you're actually supplying the industry, which is a good thing. And do the same in Scotland. Yeah.
Italy, it's early days at the moment, although there are a couple of young lads that are there. I think we started when we brought them over here.
Yeah.
We started them here, and then we put them back to Italy. So yeah, we have got a couple of.
And how many people do you employ?
How many people do we employ?
Roughly.
I'd say just shy of 200 around all the sites.
And most of those will be what you'd call technicians or engineers in some sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you call it the white collar.
Yeah.
The white collar. I suppose I come under that.
Interesting. So you said lads, but obviously
no.
Yeah.
No.
I'm sure you are, and hopefully, and the industry is appealing more broadly than that. Because
this is an interesting point.
Yeah.
It is interesting because it's open.
Yeah.
It's open to everybody. But I think, and we're working with a charity actually on this, that you need to introduce the thought of engineering and even flying to people at nursery school age. So we work with a charity called Yes, and it's Yes to Aviation.
Okay.
And we sponsor it.
Yeah.
And they have aviation days, and the kids come to a hangar, say like Audley End, and they're allowed to be seen with aircraft. They get flown for nothing. That everybody gets a flight,
right?
Obviously, as long as the weather's good.
Yeah.
But even pedal, the pedal cars.
Yeah.
They have little aeroplanes that are pedals, and we kind of knew that there's going to be a drop off. I mean, I think we all knew, and one of the last Conservative governments actually started to invest in things like Stansted College, and encouraged Yes, actually build aircraft with college students that fly. Yeah. And I think they did a 3-ship formation at Farnborough with the students flying the aircraft. Now, that has brought in young ladies and young men to do aircraft apprenticeships, but just before they decide whether they're going to go into our level, whether they're actually going to earn money from it.
Yeah.
So Yes has been a very, very good idea.
That's really good to hear because it's so important. I don't think the aviation sector. Most skilled people will immediately think of piloting and having to. And I at school wouldn't know anything about any of these industries and the opportunities until you're told about it, and then maybe your eyes are open to this, but you don't really get told that kind of thing.
Well, there's another thing is like. I know myself, when I was at school, all I wanted to be was a pilot. Right. And I thought I was going to join the Air Force. I thought I was going to be flying the Harrier or the Tornado. Yeah. And anyway, my qualifications didn't come anywhere near it, and neither did my physical fitness at the time. So, like a lot of people, even today, they go through thinking that they've got the aptitude and they're going to be able to do it. But then for some unforeseen reason, the RAF's not going to trust you with a £50 million jet, and you don't get in. So what do you do next? And you can't afford to become a commercial pilot because you haven't got a sponsorship. So what do you do? And this is where Yes comes in again. Yeah. And so we are dealing with children from, say, 7 to 21. So they may have gone through college thinking what they were going to do, and then have you thought about doing this? Yeah. And they
don't lose the dream of being in aviation. In other words,
no,
there's other ways in.
There's other ways in, and I know people that have joined as engineers and become commercial pilots. Yeah. So it can work that way as well. Yeah.
Look, Chris, our time's up, but it's been really great to speak to you, to meet you today
at the
show. Good luck with everything. It sounds like there's a great deal of innovation potentially in this area, but like you say,
we think so.
With composites still being so new to any industry, there's a lot of runway there. So we look forward to hearing about that in the future. So
look forward to it.
Thanks very much.
Thank you
for joining us on ABNCast. Cheers. Thank you.
Bye.